I was sitting in my office one morning, sipping coffee that had already gone lukewarm, when the email came through. The subject line read, "Family Reunion, this weekend." Attached was a smiling picture of my sister Olivia, holding her two kids, with my parents standing proudly beside her. I should have deleted it, but I couldn't help staring at the photo. Because every time I saw Olivia's smile, I was dragged back to the day my parents chose her over me. The day they drained my college fund to pay off her reckless mountain of credit card debt. I could still remember the heaviness in my chest, the raw sting of betrayal as my father told me, "Hannah, we had no choice. Family comes first." But apparently, I wasn't family enough. I glanced around my office, the skyline of New York stretching out beyond the glass, the awards on my shelf, the books I'd published stacked neatly on my desk. They had no idea this was my life now. The girl they abandoned had built something without them. And now, all these years later, they were inviting me home, like nothing had ever happened. They thought I'd come quietly, smile, forgive. But betrayal leaves scars, and mine still burned. I grew up in a modest home in Ohio. We weren't rich, but my parents always told me, "Work hard, Hannah. We've saved for your college. You'll have a bright future." And I believed them. While Olivia spent weekends shopping, partying, and burning through credit cards like matches, I studied late into the night. I earned straight A's, worked part-time at the library, and dreamed of studying journalism at Northwestern. That dream shattered one evening in our living room. I'd just received my acceptance letter, the envelope still warm in my hands. I rushed to show Mom and Dad, heart racing with pride. Instead, I found them sitting stiffly on the couch, Olivia crying beside them. "Hannah," Dad said, not meeting my eyes, "we need to talk." My stomach twisted. "Olivia's in trouble," Mom said gently. "Her credit card debt. It's out of control. The collectors are calling. We had to do something." Then Dad said the words that broke me. "We used your college fund to pay it off." The letter slipped from my fingers. My whole body shook. "What?" "That was my future. You promised. You'll figure something out," Olivia muttered through tears. "You're smart. You don't need the money as much as I do." Her words sliced me open. My parents just sat there, letting them sink in. I ran upstairs, slammed my door, and buried my face in the pillow. I could hear them downstairs, comforting Olivia while I cried alone. That was the night I realized I wasn't their priority. And if I wanted a future, I'd have to fight for it myself. The next years were brutal. While my friends packed for college dorms, I worked double shifts at a diner. I rented a cramped room above a laundromat, studying with secondhand textbooks under flickering lights. But I refused to give up. I enrolled in community college, paid in monthly installments. I took night classes, writing papers on an ancient laptop that overheated after 20 minutes. Some nights, I cried until I fell asleep at my desk. Still, I pushed through. It was at community college that I met Dr. Karen Blake, a journalism professor with sharp eyes and a sharp tongue. She read one of my essays and called me into her office. "You've got grit," she said. "Not many students would fight this hard. Don't waste it." Her belief lit a fire in me. She recommended me for internships, helped me polish my writing, and reminded me that my voice mattered. I transferred to a state university on scholarship. Then I landed a part-time job at a small publishing house in New York. The work was menial at first, fetching coffee, proofreading, filing manuscripts, but I learned fast. I lived cheaply, skipped vacations, ate ramen for weeks at a time. But slowly, I rose. Within a few years, I became an editor, then launched my own imprint. I signed authors, published bestsellers, and earned a reputation for spotting talent no one else believed in. Every milestone, every success, I carried a secret satisfaction. because my parents had once told me to figure it out, and I had, on my own. When I finally returned home years later, it wasn't for their reunion, it was for business. I was speaking at a publishing conference in Cleveland, just an hour from the town I once fled. Word got around fast. That evening, as I stepped off stage to applause, I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Olivia, waiting near the back. "Hannah!" Mom's voice wavered with forced cheer. "We're so proud of you!" I froze, clutching the award I'd just received. The same parents who once drained my future now stood here, beaming like they'd always believed in me. They insisted on dinner. Against my better judgment, I agreed. At the restaurant, Olivia launched into her usual chatter about her kids, her house, her struggles. My parents nodded, indulging every word. When the waiter asked what I did, I quietly said, "Publishing." Dad laughed. "Our Hannah always loved books. She edits or something, right?" I set my fork down. Slowly, I leaned forward. "I don't just edit. I own the publishing house. The one that produced 5 New York Times bestsellers this year. The one that just signed a 7-figure deal." The table went silent. Mom blinked. "You own it?" "Yes," I said calmly. "I built it from scratch. While you were paying off Olivia's credit cards, I was building my future. Without a cent from you." Olivia's jaw dropped. Dad's face went pale. "You see," I added, lifting my glass, "you stole my college fund. But you didn't steal my ambition. That, you couldn't touch." For the first time, my family had no words, and I savored their silence. Days later, Mom called. Her voice was shaky. "Hannah, we're having trouble with the mortgage. Could you help us out?" I nearly laughed. The irony was sharp enough to cut. "I'll help," I said slowly, "but under conditions." Her breath caught. "Conditions?" "Yes." My voice was steady. "First, you stop treating me like the backup plan. You respect me as much as you respect Olivia. Second, Olivia, you take responsibility. No more easy bailouts. You work, you budget, you stand on your own 2 feet." There was silence on the line. "And third, I want an acknowledgement that what you did to me was wrong, that you took my future for her mistakes. I want to hear it." The silence stretched. Finally, Mom whispered, We were wrong. We're sorry, Hannah." It wasn't enough to erase the years, but it was something. For the first time, I was the one setting the terms. Months later, things began to shift. Olivia got a job at a local accounting firm, humbled but steady. My parents softened, calling me not just to boast about her, but to ask about me. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. One evening, I sat alone in my New York office, city lights glittering through the glass. On my desk lay the acceptance letter from Northwestern, the one I never used. I kept it framed, not as a reminder of loss, but of resilience, because my parents had taken my fund, my chance, my easy path. But in doing so, they forced me to build something greater than I ever imagined. I smiled, whispering to myself, they emptied my college fund. But they didn't realize they were funding the woman I was destined to become.